Everyone thinks that AI is going to make the average solopreneur unstoppable. We're going to see all of these small businesses being launched. But I think the trends of 2026 are going to blindside a lot of people. I've spent nearly a decade working with AI, building it, breaking it, and actually learning what really works. So I'm here to call BS on the bad advice.
And I'm here to keep it human as we go up in the AI.
I'm James.
I'm Tanya, and welcome to Up in the AI. Okay, so 2027, not that far away, is meant to be the year of doom. And between now and then, we've got one more year to go. So we thought it'd be a bit fun to think, what is the next 12 months as we lead into the doom? What are the things that are going to be happening in the world of AI, specifically for solopreneurs, small business owners, people looking to get into this space, start a new business, and those who are already in there doing it right now? So we've got some really interesting trends that we've picked up that we want to talk about today. And James, I'm really keen to hear your thoughts around these. First one I've come up with is the rise of the dead internet theory. So this is quite a new term for me. So if other people have heard that, great. But I thought it was really interesting, suggesting that AI generated content is going to flood the internet to such a degree that we are going to find it really difficult to find the human content within this. And there's going to be, a lot to talk about around this. When you think dead internet theory, what do you think?
I'll be honest, I've never heard the term before you mentioned it to me.
Good, I'm not lying then. Cool.
The concept, though, I get it. I really get it. I mean, essentially, we're shoveling so much shit back into the internet. We're talking to ChatGPT and saying, can you give me XYZ blog post? And it's writing it. Maybe 75% of it is good, 25% of it is hallucinated crap. And then that's going on the internet. So the more we muddy the waters with what the internet is made up of, the worse the models are going to be and the more they're going to hallucinate. So to me, I think this is the biggest risk with LLMs. It's like, where do we ensure that the quality that they're trained on is to a good enough standard that it's actually going to keep improving the knowledge of our society? The great thing about humans is that year on year, we evolve. The information in academics that progresses. But this is going to do the opposite. And so the average person is going to get dumber if this keeps happening, because the content that's being produced is going to be worse. So I think it's a huge risk.
And what do you think about it from the point of view of the content creators? To say like a small business owner or solopreneur who's out there creating content, wants to be seen, they are now potentially going up against sizable, AI that can just create content infinitely and at speed, So what about them? What's the challenges for them?
I think so many of them are screwed. The people that don't know how to use AI properly, they're going to go to ChatGPT. And this is where, we're going to talk about it more later, but this is where industry knowledge, domain-specific knowledge is going to be so important. Because if you, as a marketer, or let's actually say you as an accountant, want to go and make a blog on marketing strategies for accountants, yet you don't know anything about marketing, ChatGPT is going to spit something out. You're going to go, okay, this sounds good. I'm going to stick it into your blog, and you're going to look stupid by anyone that actually knows marketing. But if the accountant goes, something specific about accountancy practices, it's going to get a blog post that this accountant, he or she, can actually validate it's good stuff. So the stupid people, sorry to say that, they're going to just post whatever ChatGPT gives them, and they're going to look stupid. The smart people are going to stick to their specific domain experience, and they're going to make sure that what the AI generates is good. And then there's another couple of things, like the really smart people, they're not going to rely on ChatGPT or Perplexity or these research tools. They're going to use tools like Notebook LM, where they're the ones providing the sources, and then they're going to extract the information from the sources that they've provided. That way, they are validating what's out there is actually good, and and the good stuff is what their content is based on.
Gotcha. And it's about, for me, listening to what you're saying, really understanding your your customer, right? Knowing the pain points that they're feeling, knowing the solutions and things that you can deliver that will be of value is one of the strategies that you could have to kind of win out. And then, as you say, not just blindly churn out what ChatGPT is giving you and actually make it meaningful. What do you think are the ways that, in written content form, people can add that human touch? Because I have to admit, I'm less inclined to read blog posts now. Like if I was in the scientific community, I would still be reading like white papers and scientific things like that. But in the general sense of consuming content around areas of interest for me, I really rarely trust written content anymore. So do you think it's something that people as a business owner, like a solopreneur, should still be pursuing? Or is there other ways? And if they are going to do it written way, how can you suggest that they do it to stand out?
Remind me to just come back on the ICP thing after answering this question, because there's an interesting point there. But the human touch, if you're generating it with AI, your tone of voice document is unbelievably critical at this point. Anyone that's operating AI without a tone of voice document is, again, losing straight off the bat. Then the second thing is you train your AI with stories. Like marketing works off stories, right? It could be success stories from your clients. It could be stories of why you're here, your origin story. If you follow Russell Brunson, he's got his vehicle, his limiting belief stories, all of these things. Right? So you pack AI full of stories. And then so when it generates content and you tell it unequivocally, do not make anything up. Don't make client wins up that don't exist. Don't make stories about me up that don't exist. Bring in the stories that you already have. Bring in my tone of voice. Then what's going to be generated is going to be half decent. And then there is no way in hell. Actually, the further that we go with AI, I'm getting even more critical about not having a human in the loop. Just because even though the quality of writing is getting better, like the actual way that they put words together and the way that they research, the way that the AI research is getting better, like the fact that it's so subtly lying. If you're not concentrating, it will say something. I actually released a post and I was rushing and I skim read it and I popped it out on LinkedIn. And then somebody asked me about one line. It was just one line.
Yeah.
I can't remember exactly what. It was some client win that didn't actually exist because it said e-commerce instead of professional services. If it had said professional services, it would have been right. But it said e-commerce and I didn't realize. And they asked me, could you explain more about this e-commerce thing? And I'm like, shit, I let that one get past me.
Yeah, it's so easy to do, right? Especially with long form content as well. And as you say, like most people are using AI to speed things up because they don't have all the time to sit there and write and proof and edit. So, but it is really important. You're 100% right. So you wanted to talk a bit more about the ICP. So dive into that.
It's just a very quick comment. There's one thing here that I find quite interesting. Tony Robbins always talks about business cycles. In fact, the smartest people in their specific industries talk about cycles, property cycles, economic cycles. There's a concept that AI isn't going to actually change anything in business. It's going to be the same stuff, just going round and round and round. And if you think about it, businesses lose when they don't know who they're servicing. They don't know who their ICP is, so their marketing is crap. They don't know how to properly service them. They don't know how to retain them. And AI is just that on steroids. It's the same problem. If you don't know your ICP, then everything you do is going to be worse. But that's no different to what it's been in the past. Does that make sense?
It does. Yep. It definitely does. Yep.
So I just wanted to say that because you mentioned the ICP and you're 100% right that we all need to know our ICP, but that hasn't changed. It's the same as what it's always been. I just think AI kind of highlights it more, that it's a bigger problem.
Yeah, agreed. You're right. Okay, so some of the other things that popped up in terms of like trends that we're looking at for 2026 is AI agents.
That's an interesting one because AI agents were all the rave in this year. Essentially, this point a year ago, everyone was like, 2025 is going to be the year of the AI agent.
Mm-hmm.
To an extent, it was. But it was so overhyped in 2024, the end of 2024. Everyone saying that, like, I think it was Zuckerberg that went on and said there'll be more AI agents operating in 2025 than employees. The problem with 2025 is that most of the AI agents that have been deployed have been shit, absolute crap. So I think this is a really interesting one, because 2026 could be the rise of actually good agents, having learned all of the lessons from the past year. Like, how does an agent actually add value? How do we keep a human in the loop? All of these different things. Like, I have my EA agent I was raving about in Jan, Feb 2025 this year. And like it does categorize emails. I can talk to it. I just never ended up using it like I thought I was going to. Like, this whole is going to be revolutionary. Like, I still like to get my hands dirty. And maybe this is the generational intermediary step. Like, the people, the young kids that are coming up, maybe they'll just be so used to using AI agents that getting their hands dirty just won't be a thing. They'll look at us like we're the weirdos that used VHS, do you know what I mean? Or DVDs. But I still like to get involved in these things and on a personal level. So we'll see.
Yeah. So just for clarity, AI agents they're autonomous in their thinking, right? They can go off and deal with complex tasks with instruction. Of course, you've given them some boundaries and, ways in which they are to structure for them to operate in, but they can go and do it themselves without continuously prompting to do this task and then this task.
Yeah, an AI agent is different to a monolithic workflow. A monolithic workflow requires a specific input, and then it goes down a predefined step. Now, we know, of course, because one of our whole programs is based off the orchestration model, both the human side and the AI side. Like, 2025 saw the release of the AI orchestrator, the agent that has other tools underneath, potentially other agents underneath. So it can analyze the input and then decide which tool to call or which agent to call, and then even call multiple of them in a row to get the desired output. This technology has been proven in 2025, but use cases not so much. Much like the other things that we've whinged about and called out for the BS, like people have sold the sizzle, but done a very poor job of actually implementing it and solving real problems.
Yeah, awesome. I mean, I fell into the hype of the AI agents and subscribed to a number of different things. Yeah. I tried to build my own, didn't work. Like you say, just got so far and then just like, okay, this is a lot of work. I've got things to do right now. But I'm really excited by this. If this becomes something that is generally out there and it works and it's relatively easy to kind of implement, I'm really excited about this. It's something that we can look forward to in 2026.
What we're going to see is, we saw a lot of like external AI agents. Like, we built ours with NA10, and it's like bringing in all of the APIs. I think 2026 is going to see the integrated AI agent, where you don't have to go anywhere. We're already starting to see it with what ChatGPT has done towards the end of the year. The release of its workflow features, the release of its automated agent mode that searches the internet, that controls your computer. These things are becoming not a separate thing that you have to build, but something you just access at a click of a button. So we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. Lots to look forward to. Okay, so one of the other trends is, now we're talking all about digital and AI. It's actually that with an oversaturation of all of this happening, that we are going to pull back. And as a business owner, someone that's looking to build, your revenue, there's going to be more of an attraction to doing things in person rather than doing things or interacting with your customers, not with your customers, potential. Like, this is obviously creating new customers offline. It's like networking events and meetings, lunches, whatever that might be. What do you think about that?
Completely agree with it. I massively stand by the fact that I think the average person, is not seeing this coming. The average person that doesn't really understand AI is just still trying to get their head around it. Yet the people that are living it, they know that AI is going to do, let's say, 80% of most people's jobs, the boring parts, the sitting in front of the computer. So what's that going to leave? The human connection, the stuff that AI can't do, and maybe never will be able to do. AI can try and simulate it, can try and trick people, and it's only going to get better at that. But you can't trick unless we go into the matrix and we don't understand or we might already be in the Matrix in some sort of simulation. I don't know. That's going down a rabbit hole we probably don't want to go down. But like, you can't. I can touch you on the shoulder. I can look you in the eyes. I can cheers my glass to yours. I can pick up a piece of paper if I want, or an iPad, and I can show you in person. I can do a training session around a table. Like, this is interconnection. This is connection on a real human level. And for those that are maybe a bit more spiritual, like on that universal energy, AI can't do that. And so I think that is a trend that we're going to see, if not in 2026, definitely in the doom year of 2027.
Yeah. I mean, I think that it's something that's always been there. But again, like you've made the point before in a previous, AI has just now amplified our thinking around it. We've human to human contact, we've known. I mean, even when I was back in my 20s and I was doing trade exhibitions, I was working in, selling trade expos. And even back then, people were like, everything's moving online. People are going to be, creating their customer base online. I can talk to 10,000 people with one email. Why do I need to go to an exhibition and talk to a few hundred, And even back then we were pitching, nothing beats human to human contact and interaction. And most of the business that got done at the expos was always around the bar. It was like, that's where, and you can't imagine doing that with even a humanoid robot. It's just not the same. You don't have that same connection in that sense and I totally agree with you. So I'm a big fan of human to human contact and everything we do, and having that human at the center. And we talk about that in many different things that we do with our, who we're talking about with our training. Okay.
And
So
by the way, you're so right about the expo stuff. I mean, we spent 20K and we were one of the smaller AI businesses at the business show that we did a month ago. There was shed loads. So like all of these AI people wanting to go make connections with the average business owner. 100% that is on the cards. And funny that there were so many AI businesses there.
Yeah, because it's in leaning back into the dead internet theory, it's like even now in the comment section of a lot of the content that I see posted from an entertainment point of view, not necessarily from someone trying to sell me something, but within the top 10 comments, it's like either someone's calling this out as AI or someone's questioning it's AI. And it's like, and something that was a very popular, funny meme video that popped up. A lot of the comments were like, thank God I saw this before the age of AI. Otherwise, I wouldn't have believed it really happened. And I was like, that's what we're heading towards. And then, but you can't fake being in front of someone and talking to them. You can't fake that. So
it's funny. Like, I'll say another thing. Sorry, I know you want to move on to the next point, but I've got a client. We help them with all of their sales automations, and their salesperson, she's actually English, I think, and she's fantastic at her job.
Mm-hmm.
But she's actually getting the objection quite often. How do I know you're not AI? Because she's that good at her job. So people are feeling as though, well, she can't be that good at that job. She must be AI. And she's like, and she sent me a message like, how do I deal with this objection? Yeah. It's like some of them are virtual meetings like this. And and people are still on the other end of the camera thinking she must be AI.
Wow. Yeah, it's a new problem to solve. I do remember I called out, I got a call. I thought it was AI. And this was well over a year ago, interestingly. He was so offended that, took over our conversation. But okay, so now we're moving on to basically around skill set. So a decline in AI literacy. When I say that, what I mean is for the solopreneur or the business owner or someone in their role who's using AI tools and taking on new AI tools, following the hype, you are going to then bring them in, but they're going to lack the actual skill set to be able to deal with them, the literacy to be able to speak to the AI to get it to deliver what they want. And that in itself is going to lead to potentially missed opportunities. But more importantly, I think it's that the widening gap between those who are there doing it ineffectively and those who are doing it more proficient. And what does that mean? What does that mean for the solopreneur or business owner that's, doing it the wrong way?
All right. Let me address the whole decline in AI literacy first. I'm not quite sure there can be a decline when the average person has very little AI literacy from day dot. But the point that you made afterwards, I think, is pretty strong. And we've seen it. We've seen it all throughout 2025. And we always go on about it. So probably our listeners are very bored of the whole AI shiny objects. But yes, what business owners have been doing, they've been smashing these things into their operations without any understanding of what the problem is they're trying to solve.
Yeah.
I worry as more people, as AI becomes just easier to use, more integrated. People won't understand the fundamentals behind it. They'll just point and click. And that lack of understanding will make us as a society more stupid.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. 100% agree with you on that one. I think that that is something that I think of as a parent. What does my child, that's what I see happening with my child. Like they will miss out on the fundamental of understanding something before you use it, like, and how important that is to be able to do. But I don't know when it comes to them at a certain age using AI for career purposes or educational purposes, is it going to be necessary at that point? It's a massive conversation that I have in my head, actually.
I know
And
this
I don't
is
know how to solve it.
business related, right? But I'm sure we've discussed this before. But Wally, the
Yeah,
movie,
then maybe. Yeah.
yeah, and then the cruise ship, spaceship, where there's just a lot of fat human beings on chairs that move for them, where the whole ship is automated. That's my fear of what society is going to be like. I mean, we all think, when we think doom and gloom of AI, it's like, oh, they're going to release some sort of like pathogen that slowly kills us all. But AI could just as easily conquer us by making us all fat, stupid, and lazy, which is essentially what corporate America has been doing for years and years and years anyway. Um,
Yeah,
so,
they
yeah.
just want us to be pacifists, don't they? We just
Mm,
go along with the flow like zombies, like, yes, no, we do what you say.
mm.
Percent. Yeah. I feel like we've watched the same podcast about that. Because when I saw that come up, I was like, oh my God. Because at the time when I was watching it, I just thought, interesting. And now I'm like putting all the dots together and thinking, oh, they were even trying to, let us know through children, like a child movie. Okay.
Yeah, I know. Isn't it funny that sometimes you see these trends come out, and I don't know whether the writer like an epiphany moment or whether they were just high as fuck. I just don't know. But like they called it for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we don't need to go back and talk about what they were creating in the 70s and the 80s. They were high all the time, but very insightful and very
Well,
future.
there was a movie, a dystopian future movie where I think somebody went forward in time and everyone was stupid. Can you remember that one? That
No.
was 70s and 80s.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's the thing that we're seeing is the trend that the average intelligence goes down and not up.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether that's already happened, but it seems to me that would be the tipping point where human beings decline. The rise of the machines and the decline of humans.
Yeah, 100%. Didn't Elon present something? He talked about the age of abundance in one of his, I don't know, quarterly, how much money are we making meetings. So, yeah, and that's one of the big topics that's been coming out. People saying that, what does that actually mean, and who does that, who is going to be living in that abundance where the rest of us go in decline? Big things to talk about. Okay, but the last thing I think we're going to go into is industry specific AI models, or also known as domain specific AI models. James, for the unknown, what does that mean? And what do you see that becoming for 2026? What has it been and where are we going to with it?
So we've seen a lot of ChatGPT rappers, right? This is the
Rappers.
yeah, rappers, not
What do you mean
like
rappers?
rappers as a music,
Yeah,
but
okay.
as in
Hence
like
cue music. That's funny.
you know how you like have you used to have like websites and they would wrap a certain piece of information and that would
Right.
be a wrapper. Yeah, it's essentially somebody branding something else, like iframes. You saw it all the time with technology.
Right. Okay.
ChatGPT wrappers have essentially just been like pre-prompted stuff that doesn't really do much more than the actual ChatGPT, just marketed in a different way. So the general models just being shoved out there to people that don't really know any better. And it's like, well, you kind of like, oh, I could just do this on Claude or ChatGPT or whatever myself, rather than paying an extra subscription to this wrapper. So my thoughts. The domain-specific LLMs, they'll be trained solely on the information behind that industry. So we're already seeing a few law models come out where they might leverage here and there ChatGPT or whatever just for the processing, but it's RAG, it's retrieval of real information that is pertinent to that domain, and thus the output is much more specific. So if you think ChatGPT is like the internet, right? If you ask it a law question, it's got all of this other muddled information that it could draw upon that's going to kind of dilute and whatever the output. If you're talking to a law LLM, then it's just going to have a better answer purely for the fact that it's not just about the fact that it's just pulling from law information. These LLMs that are domain specific are going to have the best part of the information. It's not going to just be all of the law information. It's going to be like verified, qualified pieces of information.
Wait, so do you think those are going to exist outside of ChatGPT or within ChatGPT?
Both, I would say.
As an example.
I think both. I think some people are going to try and create their own LLMs that are mini ChatGPTs, and others are going to leverage ChatGPT and Claude with specific vector databases. I don't actually know what you know what I mean. I'm not that technical in terms of like how does machine learning work. I don't know what the advantages are to creating a true LLM that's designed for one singular purpose and utilizing ChatGPT as a retrieval model with a vector database. They might even be the same thing. I'm not 100% sure, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, so we're talking about something different from a GPT?
I mean, in concept, like a GPT and a project is kind of like the first iteration of that. But RAG is different, right? Or this augmented retrieval of specific vector, context-based data. So that's what a vector database is, right? It's rather than like a traditional SQL database that if you search for like war, it will find everything that has that keyword war. But in a context database, if you search war, it'll also pull up like contextual words like battle. Does it make sense?
Yeah, okay. Yes. Okay, that makes
Great.
sense. Well, just to add to your point, because I thought it was quite interesting as something to maybe solidify that, what you've said is that there is a really interesting statistic here that says Gartner predicts that by 2028, okay, so it's 2 years beyond 2026, over 50% of Gen AI models used by enterprises will be domain specific, up from less than 5% in 2023. So that is a big jump. Yeah, interesting.
This trend is so pertinent for us, right? Because it's the whole base. It's this very similar basis to what we have designed our AI orchestrators program on, right? The whole point that domain specific knowledge is what's going to win in the AI race, whether it be the technology, like what we're talking about now, or coaching. You know, I've said it a million times, but if I'm an accountant, I'm looking for help with AI. I'm not going to go to the generalist. I'm going to go to the accountant AI coach, the one that's been doing accountancy for years and has pivoted into AI and now knows how to apply AI specifically. And these people, by the way, they'll also be conversant with all of the the accounting LLMs, the accounting specific products. And as we go into a world where there are all of these domain specific LLMs, those domain specific products, you'll need the specialist to tell you which ones are good and which ones are bad. And that's why we're teaching it. That's why we're teaching people with domain knowledge, industry specific knowledge about AI and how to apply it to their industry. This is the winner in 2026. It's what our whole community is about.
Yeah. And with so this is really important because again, like we've talked about, like human interaction. It's not a new thing. It's not a new thing that's been promoted. It's just something now it's like more pertinent maybe, or more, amplified because of what's happening with AI. But this is nothing new. Any good business coach or someone helping you launch your own business, anyone worth their salt would be telling you niche down, get specific on who you're targeting, and focus in on the specific thing that you will help them with, at least at first, before you can become, grow and scale. But the key thing is, I think here is that people who are out there who have got very good at that, AI is now adding, it's an unknown. It's like it's going back to school in a learning sense and really figuring out like, what are those tools? What is it that I'm to understand about AI that's going to help me, become that AI authority in the industry that I'm already pretty well known in already. And that's scary for a lot of people. So I feel like the way things are going, it's coming out more and more, like there's more and more content around like where things are heading in the next couple of years. There's a lot of doomsday conversation about how things are going, but actually at the end of the day, let's continue as we are. It's just that we're taking something that seems very big, a bit scary around AI, and we're helping people understand it and how to then use that in their current space, their industry specific space, and just make sure that they are creating longevity.
For sure. I think the way we can have a look at like ChatGPT, we can kind of look at it a little bit like Google, right? So everyone uses Google. Maybe not now, but they have in the past. Everyone's used Google to do their searching. But very few people actually know how Google works, right? Really, the SEO specialists know how Google works. And that's what we're going to see more and more of. Like as a product expert prior to becoming an AI specialist, I didn't need to know how SEO worked. I didn't need to know how the fundamentals of Google worked. But what I did need to know is how it would be used to find the products that I was building for clients. And that's the similar thing that's going to happen, right? And I was using product specific tools. Rarely I was needing to use the full scope of Google. And like most of what we talked about, AI is just that on steroids. So, more and more we're going to see people just kind of dipping their toes in the generalist platforms and instead focusing on, what's my product platform? What's my real estate platform? Only a select few people will know the ins and outs of how these huge LLMs work, because they're all getting more complex. Claude and ChatGPT and Gemini, they're just getting bigger and bigger and more features. And the average person is going to use such a tiny percentage of that.
Yeah. Just go with what you need to know. Focus in on what you need to know, what's going to help give you leverage. And that's where you're going to survive. Otherwise, it's going to be too much. So, all right. I think we've covered some really interesting topics here. What do you think is the next step for someone that's listened to this? What do you suggest that they go do?
Yeah, I think there was a good place to end on industry specific. That you need to understand how AI is going to affect your specific industry. You got that year before Armageddon, so use it wisely. Specifically, if you want to take action, jump into our school community, Make Money with AI. There you'll find a lot of free courses, how to make money with AI, how to get traffic. There's a community of entrepreneurs, solopreneurs that are living it, doing it. It is one of the best places to actually get started with AI and set yourself up for 2026.
And when you get into the community, introduce yourself, let us know who you are, what you're doing. We'd love to help you along your way in your journey, and do take action, right? Take action on the things that were in there. The classroom, the Make Money with AI course is gold. So take action and don't just look at it.
100%. So I think on that note, we'll see you all next time.
Absolutely. We'll see you up in the AI.